Okay. Yes. Good day, everyone. Greetings from Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation. My name is Yvette, and on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome all of you to the 6th Global Conference of Computing and Media Technology, also known as GCMT 2022. My colleagues and I are streaming live from Asia Pacific University, located in the heart of Bukit Jalil, Kuala Lumpur. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Now, today, exactly 1 year ago, I welcome you to our second virtual GCMT. Now, this year, as I welcome you again, I am confident that this will be our last virtual conference, and next year, I will be welcoming you physically as we head into the endemic phase of COVID-19. So as we progress into today's session, please feel free to leave a comment, share, ask a question in the comment box whenever you feel like it. Yeah? So GCMT 2022 is a global conference for researchers and practitioners to present and discuss their most recent innovations, trends, results, experiences, and concerns in several perspectives that cover but are not limited to current areas of importance in information systems and technologies. This is our 6th GCMT, and over the years, the number of submissions has steadily grown locally and internationally. Now, let us watch this montage on previous GCMT installations. Enjoy. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. So, to kick today's session off, allow me to welcome the driving force behind GCMT and a very well respected and beloved figure in Asia Pacific University. Please join me to welcome APU's Chief Innovation and Enterprise Officer, Professor Dr. Engineer Technologist Vinesh Tirochalvam, to say a few words. Professor?
Thank you, Dr. Yvette. Good afternoon, one and all, and welcome again to APU's conference, our very own global conference on computing and media technology, GCMT 2022. It is my greatest pleasure in welcoming all who are attending the opening session this afternoon. I know it's being broadcasted live on YouTube and Facebook. It's our 6th year running, and I would like to thank the organizing committee led by the chair, Mr. Daniel Mago, and strongly assisted by Edwin Samiraj, our collaborators from the University of Liverpool, partners in India, and the back end GCMT team. It takes a lot of effort in bringing this conference live and ensuring all papers submitted has or will be processed accordingly. I would also like to thank APU senior leadership in their continuous support for the conference, where our CEO, Datuk Paramjit Singh, President Dr. Hari Narayanan, and Vice Chancellor Prof. Ho Chin Kwan have continuously supported the research and development drive at APU. Now, adding to this, we are backed solidly as well by the school leadership in encouraging our APU staff, especially from the School of Computing and the School of Technology and the School of Media Arts and Design, to strive towards research goals. So, namely, I would like to thank uh, Associate Professor Dr. Tang Ka-fei, Associate Professor Wong Bi Suan, and Miss Debbie Liu in supporting this cause. We have a distinguished keynote speaker this afternoon, and I would like to thank Associate Professor Dr. Muin Udin from the University of Doha uh, for Science and Technology in Qatar for his support and contribution uh, for, for the keynote address this afternoon. Now, I was made to know from the earlier prep days that this year's conference team has got three keywords: blockchain, cybersecurity, and healthcare. Very interesting three keywords. They are very current. They are trending heavily in a lot of search engines. Yeah, blockchain is an emerging technology being applied for creating innovative solutions in various sectors, and one of that particular sector is healthcare. A blockchain network is used in the healthcare system to preserve and exchange patient data through hospitals, from hospital to hospital, public to private sector, uh, from the hospitals to the diagnostic laboratories for more sampling and more scientific tests, pharmaceutical firms for medication, and also physicians when they move from one type of condition to a different condition. This is very interesting because healthcare is a very open data sharing environment, which has to have a heavy influence of cybersecurity simply because of the data being private and also has to be secure. Now, blockchain, what it has done also is it has inherited a sort of a decentralized nature, which is perfect for technology addressing cybersecurity. So the ledger technology has now virtually basically endless users, yeah, in everything from medical to financial data, uh, and monitoring and also encrypting messaging platforms. So the inward of social media has also been addressed through the data sharing and the monitoring using blockchain technology. So as I see it, the theme for this year is very current. I thank the organizing team for coming up with the theme, and I thank Dr. Muinuddin for his topic this afternoon as well. Thank you for attending this conference again, and I do hope you have a great day ahead. Enjoy the keynote address, and Be safe, everyone. Yep. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Yvette.
Thank you, Professor. That's right. The usage of blockchain systems in different sectors apart from cryptocurrencies and NFTs can easily save time, money, and solve many problems. So it is expected as well that the blockchain will expand its scope of usability in many, many more sectors, including finance, data analysis, and in healthcare. So to address this, our topic for the keynote today will be on blockchain technology for cybersecurity related challenges and issues in healthcare. And for our keynote address today, we have a very distinguished speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Muin Udin. Now, Dr. Muin received his PhD and Masters of Science degrees from University Technology Malaysia and Isra University Pakistan, respectively. He is currently working as an associate professor of cybersecurity and data sciences at the University of Doha for science and technology. His research interests include the Internet of Things, blockchain technology, securing cyber-physical systems, cloud computing, and applied data sciences. He is a senior member of the IEEE and AIS and an ACM distinguished speaker. He serves as the editorial board member in Mobile Information Systems, IEEE Access, Human-Centric Computing and Information Sciences, Blockchain in Health Today, IET Network, Blockchain in Healthcare Today, Frontiers in Communications and Networks, and Frontiers in High Performance Computing. Dr. Muin has served on the organizing committee of several IEEE ACM international conferences, specifically various international conferences on blockchain and cybersecurity. No one more perfect to speak on this topic. Join me in welcoming Associate Professor Dr. Muin Udin. Professor, the floor is
Yes.
yours.
Thank you, Dr. Wade, for introducing me. Uh, Let me just start my talk. The talk is actually on blockchain for cybersecurity related challenges and issues in the healthcare. As we all know, that very recently, blockchain has emerged as one of the top technologies for providing the security related solutions in various like sectors, including the healthcare, including the finance, including the government sectors, the private and public enterprises. So I have chosen this topic, and also I'm actually working on this area for last couple of years. Uh, so let me start with this. So the topics that I will be covering during my talk include I will be giving a very little introduction about cybersecurity, because most of the people are familiar with what is cybersecurity and cybersecurity attack life cycle. Then I will be moving towards current cybersecurity challenges, specifically in the healthcare industry. Uh, then I will be talking about blockchain technology. I will be describing what is blockchain technology, why it's useful, and all this. And then I will be talking about few use cases, uh, some of the research papers which have been published and which provide solutions for healthcare industry, specifically related to EHRs, electronic health record systems, as well as related to handling the counterfeit drugs, that's the fake drugs which are available in the market by using the blockchain technology. And finally, I will take some questions from the audience. So let's start with uh, what is cybersecurity. As we all know, that with the advent of IoTs and the technological advancement of different 3G, 4G, and 5G networks, and a lot of users are being using the internet. So we have a lot of dependency on technology, and internet has resulted in new complex business models and revenue streams for business organizations. So this advancement in technology and in business firms has actually led to a lot of cyber attacks. So the world was like we were facing the cyber attacks a couple of years ago also, but now with the advancement of these technologies and everybody is actually connected to the internet using their laptop, using their cell phones, using their handheld devices. So the chances of the cyber attacks have grown. Also, the companies, the multinationals, the financial organizations, the healthcare organizations, the government industries, and all these, they are they are also heavily relying on the internet technology to actually provide their digital services to the users, to the end users. So when everybody is connected to the internet, so we have actually a lot of chances of exploiting the vulnerabilities or having our vulnerabilities available in our systems, in our softwares, in our hardwares, in our datas, in our database management systems, on our clouds. So this gives a lot of like chances to the hackers, to the cyber criminals to exploit those vulnerabilities. And then when they exploit these vulnerabilities, they actually disrupt our systems, they disrupt our services provided by the businesses, by the companies. And then also they can steal the data, they can sell it, and also they can destroy our systems. So these cyber criminals are actually nowadays are attempting to steal the valuable data like our IPs, our PIIs, personal identifiable information, our health records, our financial data, and are resorting to highly profitable strategies. Like they are earning a lot of profits, like ransomware attacks are very common in the healthcare sector nowadays, in which they get control of the data, they access the database systems and they control the database systems, and then they ask for the ransoms. Okay, and then they earn a lot of profits. And these type of attacks, cyber attacks, are actually very hard to control, very hard to stop, because of because of the cyber nature of the attacks. Okay, so let's move further. With the advent of IoTs and other related technologies, nowadays we have more than 6 to 8 billion internet users with more than 20 billion internet devices, which will be available and which are actually available on the internet. And these devices are actually, these users are actually using the internet to share, access the services, share their data, store their data, store their confidential informations, create, and then this actually enables to create a lot of vulnerabilities and considerable risks in their paths, in their networks, in their communication systems. These vulnerabilities and risks in the form of cybersecurity are already causing more than 4 trillion, around 4 trillion in cost to the companies, to the organizations, to the business firms, to the countries in the worldwide, and will further increase to around 6 trillion by 2022. Very recently. So this is a huge number, which involves all different types of business firms, organizations, including the healthcare. These attacks endure to increase in frequency and complexity and are endlessly trying to steal valuable data. Okay, therefore, it has been realized by multinationals, business firms, and digital service providers that no data is specifically digital data is 100% safe and secure in this cyber world. So what we need to do when the data is not safe, what we need to do, we need to provide the security solutions to secure our data. So this is all about cybersecurity, why cybersecurity is important, and all this. So let me just show you 1 or 2 slides related to like the attack life cycle, in which how the hackers get into our systems, okay, get into our network, get into our different communication systems. Like we can see, these are different steps performed. We usually used to teach these things in our cybersecurity related courses, in which the hackers, not the users, in which the hackers, they try to identify the organizations which they want to hack. They try to exploit the vulnerabilities related to that organization by using the external reconnaissance process, and then they start penetrating into the organization. Initially, they start by getting foothold into the organization. They try to compromise the users' identity, users' authentication, and then they try to get into the organization, and then they will do the internal reconnaissance. Okay, and then they will move laterally into the organization, to the other systems, to the other computers connected to that first machine, and then they will try to find out what are the critical resources where the actual data is stored, where the actual services are stored, where the actual softwares are stored, and then they will try to go there, and then they try to collect all those data, and then they perform some other activities by using different malware scripts they have generated, using data exfiltration techniques and some others. And then it depends what type of hackers they are. They can damage your organization, your services, your networks, or they can even take your data. So, and then finally they will self-destruct themselves once their process is complete. So this is, we usually call it as the attack life cycle in the cybersecurity. Okay, so then these are the steps that I have just explained. So like the reconnaissance, initial infection into the computer network system, then gain control of the system, and then try to escalate different types of privileges available there to get more into the network, to access more servers and machines and all those, and get into the networks in more detail, and then go laterally into the network and then persist there for a long time, maybe like APT attacks, advanced persistent threats, in which the attackers, their aim is to remain there for maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months, okay, because their targets are quite huge, their objectives are quite huge. They persist there for a longer duration of time until they achieve their targets, and finally they perform different types of malicious activities like data exfiltration, hacking, and all this, money extortions and all this. So this is a continuous cycle which is being performed, and these hackers are actually most of the time they are connected with their command and control system, from where they execute different types of malwares and scripts, and all these execute different scripts to perform their tasks. Next, I will be moving into what are the cybersecurity related challenges in the healthcare sector. Like there are cybersecurity related challenges in the finance industry, in the governments, and all these sectors that we have. But nowadays, healthcare is one of the paramount organization, or we can say the industry, which is under the real cybersecurity threats. Okay, because the data is stored is very critical data, the patient's records, the patient's informations, the hospitals, the insurance related informations, they are very critical. And then also they cost a lot, like when they sell these informations, it gives them a lot of money, especially in ransomware attacks. And also these healthcare organizations, these hospitals, they don't have the secure systems. Their systems are not secure. And then with the advent of the technologies like virtual realities and robotics and IoTs and all this, the patients, the hospitals, everybody is connected. They are using the hardware devices, they are using the sensors, they are connected, wearing the watches and all this. So this is actually creating a lot of vulnerable environment, and that vulnerable environment is actually easy for the hackers to exploit. So that's why healthcare is one of the top organizations where cybersecurity crime is increasing day by day. And we all know, and everybody knows, that quality healthcare is indispensable nowadays. We all want the quality healthcare, and quality healthcare is provided when we have all the services provided at our doorsteps. Like we want to use our digital data, we want to use the digital apps, we want to connect using digitally to the hospitals, to the doctors, and all this. So we want to share our records. But these all things are actually, on one hand, giving us the advantages, but on the other hand, they are giving us a lot of disadvantages, especially for the cyber criminals. Technological advancement has improved the standard of living, resulting in providing better healthcare services. But the emergence of cloud, IoTs, mobile health, telehealth, and other emerging technologies have revolutionized the healthcare industry. It has enabled patients to monitor their health, store and share their medical records. We usually call them as EHRs or PHRs or EIEs, HIEs. So on one hand, they are very advantageous, but on another hand, there are a lot of cybersecurity related challenges. Like these are some of the challenges which I have highlighted here. We can see here, and these are the challenges on which a lot of research has been going on. A lot of technologies are being used, like blockchain is being used, like NFTs are being used, like metaverse is being used, like the AI is being used, machine learning algorithms are being used, deep learning is being used. A lot of research for the researchers to actually provide different types of solutions, build applications which are secure, which provide privacy, security, scalability related solutions. So some of these challenges are like privacy, security, and scalability related challenges in EHRs, PHRs, specifically focusing on developing advanced cryptographic solutions, advanced interoperability needs for the patient, for these records. This is one of the top areas now on which a lot of research is being going on to develop better cryptographic solutions so that the data can be stored, the information, the EHRs can be stored in a more better way, in a more secure way, and it becomes more difficult for the hackers, for the attackers, actually even through the ransomware attacks, to break and to decrypt those data. And then a lot of research is going on, like the for securing and exchanging health device information related to medical equipments, for the authorization and interoperability challenges of the medical equipments used in the hospitals. Okay, so this is another one of the hot areas and one of the cybersecurity related challenges, because if these health devices are not properly managed, not properly authorized, not properly configured, then your information, your data can easily be stolen. So then we have like another challenge is related to knowledge-driven applications such as clinical decision care coordination, precision medicines, and like analytics, data analytics, like specifically related to health and predictive analytics. Their application requirements are growing, but these applications are not secure enough to provide the better secure solutions. So a lot of challenges are there in these applications, because these applications and these systems can easily be hacked by the hackers. Okay, and then these systems are not accurate enough, they are not good enough to provide these services. So then we have another challenge related to creating continuous stream of healthcare information across the financial, clinical and administrative elements of medical ecosystem. Okay, so we need to create the system, a medical ecosystem which is more secure, which is more private, which is more scalable, and which is more controlled, which involves financial insurance companies, the other type of financial organizations, the clinical staff, the clinical hospitals, the administrative elements. So we need to secure those all communication systems in the healthcare. Okay, and then we have, as I said earlier, also like with the growing increased number of medical devices, the IoTs, the sensors, which leverage to provide like the services to the patients on one hand, but on the other hand, these devices are also creating a lot of challenges for the healthcare industry specifically, and the cybersecurity solution providers to actually handle these things. So these are some of the very important cybersecurity related challenges which are the world is facing, the healthcare world is facing right now. Okay, why healthcare data is targeted? This is another very important question. Why healthcare data? Why not the other data? Other data are also being targeted, but healthcare is an easy target. The recent advancement in the technology and interconnected networks in the healthcare sector has created enormous opportunities, specifically a lot of vulnerabilities. We call them as exploitable vulnerabilities for data privacy breaches, because the data related to the patients, related to the hospitals, related to the insurance companies, related to the financial companies is easily hacked. Okay, and then data and identity theft related issues, access to potentially millions of patients of health records globally. Okay, so these breaches arise from hacking, malwares, and insider threats. These cyber crimes can have different motivations. These crimes the hackers have different motivations, like their motivations can be for financial purposes, for political gains, for accessing celebrities' data, or for destroying the reputation of the hospital, or for other type of reasons. There can be so many. Healthcare data is substantially more valuable than any other data. The financial value for a full set of medical credentials can be over thousands of dollars, depending on its type and its value, what type of data it is, and which personality's data it is, and what is inside the data, whether it contains the personal information, the credit card details, and all those important things which are available related to a patient's data. So this is again like another reason why healthcare data is really important. And then fraudsters, cyber criminals have earned billions of dollars in the last couple of years by filling fraudulent claims and dispensing drugs to sell in the dark web. This is another one of the challenging areas, specifically in the healthcare sector, the dark web, on which the fake drugs are being distributed, the fake drugs are being created. According to the WHO, out of 1,000 drugs, a lot of drugs, like maybe 10% to 20% of the drugs are fake drugs, specifically in Asian region, in African region, even in the European region. So there is a lot of requirement from the pharmaceutical industry, from the healthcare industry to develop the solutions, secure solutions, which makes sure that we can easily track and trace the drugs that we are using, the patients are using. So this is another hot areas. Why? And then and also these this is actually you can these hackers earn a lot of dollars, lot of money, billions of dollars when they sell these things. And then sometimes there is an even sufficient information in EHRs for cyber fraudsters to open bank accounts, secure loans, or obtain passports, because in the EHR you can find these all details like bank accounts, secure loan related informations, passports, your other type of informations are there in the EHRs. And when this information is stolen by the hackers, when they sell it, so this is actually sold in a lot of huge amount of money. So that's why healthcare is one of the targets, the easy targets. Over the last few years, I will give some examples why how like the healthcare industry has been hacked, like some of the attacks which have happened in the healthcare industry in Europe and in other countries. Over the last few years, the health sector has experienced a dramatic rise in the number of and size of the data breaches. These data breaches result in financial loss of reputation, and reduced patient safety. These are the three very important things which have actually come across when these cyber crimes have increased, like financial losses, loss of reputation for the hospitals and for the organizations, and then reduced patient safety, because the patients will feel they are not safe, they will not share their data, and once they will not share their data, then there is no advantage of creating these apps, the secure apps, and using the technologies. So some of the examples I can show you here is the WannaCry ransomware attack, very common attack in 2017, which infected more than 30,000, not 30,000, sorry, about 300,000 computers across the world, demanding that users must pay the ransoms in the Bitcoin. Okay, this has also affected the UK hospitals. 50 UK hospitals experienced system-wide lockouts related to the patient care, which delayed to the patient care and function loss in connected devices, such as MRI scanners and blood storage refrigerators. This attack was not specifically directed at healthcare initially, but later on it has moved to the healthcare. Yet the damage was widespread. Mansfield Divine reports that between 2015 and 16, half of the UK NHS National Health Services Trust were hit by some form of ransomware attacks, while US media highlighted the case of Hollywood Presbyterian Medical Center shut down for 10 days until it paid $17,000 of ransomware in an attack, which has actually originated through a phishing email. So these are some of the examples. Along with this ongoing publicity of EHRs compromises patients' trust, resulting in less willingness to share their health-related data. These cybersecurity breaches include like stealing the health information, ransomware attacks on hospitals, attacks on implanted medical devices. Breaches can reduce patient trust, cripple health systems, and threaten the human lives. So what we need to do is, when we new legislation and regulatory regulations which require cybersecurity solutions to become an integral part of patient safety, hospital management systems. So we require changes. We need to develop the laws. We need to incorporate the new latest technology solutions in our systems. Okay, and then there are some other examples which are also given here. Like in 2018, an individual scanning for security vulnerabilities was an individual scanning the security vulnerabilities was able to access a file containing data of people who was registered within the Australian Blood Donor Service. NHS websites were being hacked by cyber terrorists, and images of Syrian civil war were uploaded on those. So then, like in summary, healthcare is targeted due to potential for financial or political gains, or to expose the vulnerabilities by cyber criminals, activists, and political activists. So these are some of the case studies we used to teach in our cybersecurity case classes related to what happens in the healthcare, like Advocate Healthcare Network, which paid about $5.5 million as a ransomware, in which like the data breach was occurred and about 4 million individual records were affected, were stolen. Okay, only one incident involved an encrypted laptop that was stolen from an employee's vehicle, and in that actually laptop the data was unencrypted, and then it has a huge records of about 4 million individuals, and in that case the company has to pay about $5.5 million to the hackers. So this is how this all is being happening. There is another case of email phishing in University of Washington Madison in 2015. Was the first investigated by OCR. So in which there was a sufficient security breach in which over 90,000 digital patient health records were accessed and compromised, and then they have to pay about $750,000 just to the hackers. So we call it as a ransomware attack. Another example of email phishing through ransomware attack in which they have stolen those records. There is another example of NYP, New York, and Presbyterian Hospital and Columbia University, which paid about $4.8 million to the hackers, in which about 6,800 patient records were accidentally exposed to the search engines. So this is another case. Then there is another case of using a malware in which a community mental health services ACMH was attacked, and about 2,700 individual records related to the mental health services, mental health patients were stolen, which is very important, and people don't want to actually expose their records, which is very confidential information, specifically related to the mental health services. And then they demanded for about $150,000, and then they paid those to retrieve back those records. And then there is another example of St. Elizabeth Medical Center in which $218,000 were paid, in which a lot of about 5,000 records were stolen, and then they have to pay. So these are some of the very common case studies and cases that we can see, which actually highlight the importance of cyber attacks in the healthcare sector. Okay, now how to overcome them, which technologies we can use. So very quickly, let me move to blockchain. We all are very much familiar with the blockchain. The blockchain concept came quite about in 2013 by a researcher who presented a white paper, Nikomoto. Okay, and then initially it was used only for the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and others, but later on they realized that we need to use this technology to program, to develop smart contracts, scan codes. So then this blockchain technology was actually used in different contexts. So what is blockchain? In simple words, it's an open, transparent, distributed ledger technology. Like we have the old ledger systems in our schools, in our companies, organizations, some 30, 40, 50 years ago. So this concept is taken from there, in which we have a distributed ledger where the record of the transactions between different parties is stored, okay, efficiently in a verifiable and permanent way. So when you want to store any record, any transaction on the blockchain ledger, on a distributed ledger, that record needs to be properly and efficiently verified by the miners, by the participating stakeholders. And then when they verify it, then the transaction will be stored and appended on the ledger, on the distributed ledger, and all the participating stakeholders, they will share the copy of the ledger. So when any user, any stakeholder, when he wants to perform any transaction or when he wants to do anything, he has to involve all the participating stakeholders. So he cannot do anything, one person or one stakeholder cannot do anything at his own. Like if he wants to perform any transaction, he has to generate a transaction, and then the transaction needs to be verified and needs to be mined and needs to be like accepted by all the participating stakeholders before it's being appended to the distributed ledger. So there are some characteristics of this blockchain. We usually say it's an open, it's a shared, it's a transparent, it's distributed, it's a ledger technology, it's peer-to-peer, and it's permanent. So these are some of the features of the blockchain technology which makes it different from the current centralized systems. Okay, there is another disadvantage of another advantage of blockchain technology is that this technology was actually invented and came into use in different types of industrial and other type of systems to avoid or to remove the third party participants. Like in the banking sector, in the finance sector, in the credit card industries, we have the third parties which verify. So we don't need those third parties. We want to save those costs. We want to save the time. We want to save the money and all this. So in the same is the case in the other industries also. We want to remove the third party participants. So some more about blockchain. It's an emerging cryptographic digital ledger technology. Cryptography is already there for last couple of maybe 20, 30, 40 years. So we are actually using the cryptographic solutions like the block ciphers, stream ciphers, proxy re-encryption techniques to use the blockchain technology in our systems. That provides a way for recording transparent peer-to-peer transactions, peer-to-peer between all the participating stakeholders. Why it's transparent? Transparent means the ledger is shared among all the participating stakeholders, the peers on the network, or any digital interaction between non-trusting stakeholders. Because here in this blockchain, we don't have the names, we don't have the identity of the participating stakeholders. Nobody knows who is there on the ledger. So all of them are non-trusted, and there is no third party. There is no like the third party which can guarantees everything. So we have to create, so they all have, these all stakeholders have to trust the technology, the blockchain technology, in a supply chain system, in a network, in an immutable, secure, highly resistant to outages, audible and efficient way. So for the questions, I will answer them in the end. Okay, so it provides also, like, this blockchain provides an immutable solutions. Immutable means once the transactions are recorded, they cannot be reversed back until all the stakeholders agree on, and then, so that's why this makes it immutable, secure, highly resistant to outages. Okay, and then why highly resistant to outages? Because all the participating stakeholders have the latest copy of the ledger. So this makes it more resistant, transparent, audible, and efficient. Blockchain is used to track and trace. This is another one of the very popular applications of track and trace of the transactions of an assets. These assets can be financial assets, these can be credit card assets, these can be pharmaceutical assets, these can be our passport assets, in a decentralized distributed ledger of cryptographically secure time-stamped records, thus enabling the digital transfer of values. So even of from directly and without the involvement of third-party service providers. It ensures that the information block stored on the ledger must be validated and verified by majority of the network nodes. We call them as miners or peers before being posted to the ledger based on the stated and agreed rules specified in those transactions, enabling blocks to be immutable, reliable, secure, and trusted. It's being used as a potential technology to replace the existing centralized business-to-business models and infrastructures in majority of the industrial use cases. Even though there is a lot of say about blockchain, but still a lot of solutions are being implemented, but it's still like the people are a bit reluctant about implementing blockchain in all the models, even though the people are applying it in everywhere. Even they are not sure whether in a particular sector the blockchain can be useful or not. But now, because everybody is talking about blockchain, so they are applying it in all the sectors, even though you require the blockchain or not. So it's very important that we need to be very much careful, and we need to see whether the requirements really require us to use the blockchain technology or not in particular context. So some of the blockchain, or we call it as a distributed ledger technology properties: decentralized, replicated, all these, like the immutability, provide provenance of the information, and system of proof. So these are all different types of properties. Then this is how a blockchain system works. I think majority of you are familiar with how blockchain works. Like a user or a participating stakeholder will generate a transaction for a request for a transaction. The block representing the transaction is created. The block is broadcasted to all the nodes of the network to be verified and to do the consensus. They will use some sort of consensus mechanisms to actually agree on that particular block. All the nodes validate the block and the transactions. Once the block is validated, the transactions are done, then the block is appended to the chain. We call it as the blockchain. So there is a chain of blocks, and then the new block which is being generated will be appended to it. And finally, the transactions are verified and executed and stored on the ledger. So this is how this blockchain works. There are a lot of benefits of blockchain technology: faster settlements, immutability, increased network capacities. It's shared, distributed, it's more secure, and it's decentralized, which makes it different from the normal internet infrastructures, which are mostly centralized. So that's why a lot of research is being going on how to make it compatible with the internet infrastructures, because usually the internet infrastructures are the centralized infrastructures. Then there is a lot of research is nowadays is being going on to make the blockchains more efficient in terms of transactions, developing new consensus algorithms, new consensus protocols. So a lot of research areas are available inside the blockchains. There are a lot of types of blockchain networks currently available. There are public blockchains, there are private blockchains, there are custodian blockchains, there are hybrid blockchains. So which type of blockchain network suits our applications? It again depends on the users, on the application developers, on the researchers, that what type of blockchain network they are going to use, whether they are going to use a public blockchain or they are going to use a private blockchain. So because there are a lot of different types of blockchain technologies available, like we have the Bitcoins, we have the Ethereum, we have the Hyperledger Fabric, Indies. There are a lot of solutions available. So which type of blockchain networks are more suitable for us? So this again depends on requirement. Then let's move further. Advantage of blockchain in cybersecurity. So I have already talked about, like, it provides security, peer-to-peer consensus mechanisms, provides data encryption, auditability, operational resilience, immutability, transparency, which actually helps to overcome the vulnerabilities for the hackers. It deters data tampering by providing immutable data transactions across all stakeholders in a cyber network. It ensures 100% availability of the data because the data is transparent, available on the ledger, and is being shared by all the stakeholders. So it's 100% available, thereby eliminating the single point of failure by enabling decentralized and distributed architectures, which is actually against the architecture of the internet, which is mostly a centralized architecture. And currently, the systems used in the hospitals and other organizations are the centralized architectures. So this blockchain provides us a decentralized and distributed architecture. So that's why it's more resilient, more better, more secure against cyber attacks. It creates end-to-end privacy using the encryption algorithms by enabling private and authorized access and transactions. So this is another advantage. So these are some of the very important advantages of the blockchain technology, which actually makes it one of the solutions for overcoming the challenges of the cybersecurity attacks. It also removes the human factor in the cybersecurity equation because all the stakeholders are non-trustable, okay, to each other. So they have to rely on the blockchain technology. So there is no human factor involved. Security researchers have long been maintained that it is the humans, not the machines, which are the real weaknesses of any centralized security architecture. That's why this is getting more and more, blockchain is getting more and more like useful. So now finally I will be talking about some of the use cases of the blockchain technology. These both I will be talking about two use cases. Both use cases are actually the related to one of the use cases related to the EHR, electronic health record systems, or we call them as the patient health record systems, or we call them as electronic health information exchange data. So uh, I will be talking about is, as we all know, that in the healthcare industry, one of the important data that is available to us is the electronic health records. So electronic health records is one of the data that is available to, is one of the major components of electronic health technology. It's collection of individuals' health-related information such as medical conditions, diseases, medications, medical tests, images, personal information, example, patient's age, gender, weight, billing information, credit card information, and other details. So what we need to do is, this EHR needs to be secure, need to be properly managed, and its privacy, its confidentiality, its needs to be properly handled. These EHR systems are used as an efficient and effective technique for sharing patients' health records among different hospitals, various other key stakeholders of the health ecosystem to achieve better diagnosis and treatment for the patients globally. But the problem with these EHRs is that they contain the very sensitive data, and that needs to be protected against unauthorized access and leakage. And one of the main for the ransomware attacks and the cybersecurity attackers, one of the important things in the healthcare sector is the leakage of this EHR data. Thus, one of the biggest challenges in the healthcare system is to protect and secure the storage and sharing of this medical data and records across the hospitals. Okay, so healthcare EHR is an attractive target for cyber criminals for the following reasons. It's a rich source of valuable and critical data. The defenses are weak due to flaws in the personal and organizational management of healthcare information systems. The existing systems, the centralized systems, they are weak, they are not good enough, they have a lot of flaws, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, exploitable vulnerabilities, and their details are also available on the social media platforms, so they can easily be taken away. And increased usage of electronic medical devices and their connectivities with computer networks for sharing and storing of the EHRs. So this makes this as one of the biggest problems in the healthcare industry. The existing EHR systems lack in providing security, access control, interoperability, integrity, privacy, and availability. So the existing systems have all these issues with them, thus posing serious threats, concerns for the administrators and IT professionals related to the healthcare industry. Generally, most of the data in EHRs remains unchanged once uploaded to the system. Thus, blockchain could potentially be a good choice to facilitate the storage and sharing of such data. So, what is the important is that for these EHRs, blockchain is one of the potential solution providers which can easily handle this EHR data. Okay, and a lot of research is going on. I think I have seen more than hundreds of thousands of researchers working on these EHR systems to secure them. So here is a use case where I have used actually Hyperledger Fabric, a private permissioned blockchain solution to provide a secure and efficient management of the EHRs. So here, for this particular use case, I use the Hyperledger technology, which is actually a blockchain solution for secure and efficient management of electronic health records. Okay, because this Hyperledger Fabric is a private permission blockchain, so it provides privacy, scalability, transaction efficiency. It's not a public platform; it's a private peer-to-peer network in which we know that these are the patients, these are the hospitals, these are the insurance agencies, these are the pharmacies which we require, and we can create a blockchain app and we involve those all stakeholders. And then when we do the transactions among those stakeholders, then we already know those all stakeholders. Okay, so we have we don't have any interoperability issues, and we have a fine-grained access control over our EHR data because we already know all the stakeholders. We have registered those stakeholders. We have managed those stakeholders. We know those data, those users, and those patients, and everything. So, this actually is quite helping when we use this technology to provide an efficient solution for the EHRs. The proposed Hyperledger Fabric solution provides a secure, transparent, and immutable mechanism to store, share, and exchange EHRs in a peer-to-peer network in the healthcare sector. Okay, so these are some of the details related to the system that I proposed and then I developed in this EHR blockchain system. Peer nodes from various organizations create a private permissioned blockchain ledger network. Private permission means when you want to join the blockchain network, you have to get the permission to join the network. Otherwise, you will not be allowed. It's not an open or public network. It's a private network where channels are created to enable secure and private communication between untrusted stakeholders on the network. Like you can create a private channel between hospital and patient, between hospital and pharmacy. So individual patients and other participating stakeholders and their end users are identified and registered on the blockchain network by the health authority. So we involved, like for this particular application, we involved the health authority when I was working on this project, like the Dubai Health Authority, and using the membership service component of the Hyperledger Fabric to register the stakeholders by using their digital certificates issued by the certificate issuing authorities, by checking and validating unique digital certificates for individual stakeholders. The membership service is a new component inside this Hyperledger Fabric, which was used actually to control the whole process and enable this mechanism. The Fabric network comprises of different peer nodes, and each peer node can be endorser or committer node. So these are different types of nodes in the network. It contains an ordering service component called the orderers. This service accepts the endorsed transactions from clients, patients. Like any transaction comes, orders them into the groups of blocks with cryptographic signatures for the ordering peers, and finally broadcast these blocks to the committing peers in the blockchain network for validations against the endorsement policies as shown in the diagram. So this is how this network works. For the consensus, I use the BFT, which is the Byzantine fault tolerance consensus algorithm, to achieve the consensus among the validating nodes, which will be validating the transaction before the transaction is being endorsed and before the transaction has been appended to the chain. Furthermore, the efficiency of this fabric was much more as compared to the Ethereum network, which is actually a public blockchain. Then, in order to execute the transactions, we created and implemented different chain codes. We call them as smart contracts to handle the business logic for accomplishing separate transaction on the network. And then This is how the system looks like. The architecture of the system looks like. You can see on the left-hand side, we have the patient, we have the doctor, we have the health authority, we have the pharmacies, we have the labs, we have the insurance companies, and we have hospitals and researchers. So they all are connected on a blockchain network, which is Hyperledger Fabric, and then they have these patients, this patient and the physician, they have their EHR data, which is actually stored on the Hyperledger Fabric using the smart contracts. And then these are some of the further details that what happens in the ordering service and committer nodes and how the transactions are done. And then finally, this whole system is accessed by the user using the app. So this is how the system actually worked. These are some of the working of the proposed solution. So there are a lot of details about this all, like patients and all these EHRs and blockchain was there. Then there is an implementation of this system. The patient information is recorded using the smart contract, and then the physicians are registered, and then the patient will send the request to the physician and then to the hospital and all this information. So we have actually implemented this whole system using the cryptographic solution. So I'm not going into the details of this all. I can share the link for this one and you can read this. There is another use case which provides a solution which is actually a mad ledger, which is a Hyperledger Fabric. Again, I use the same Hyperledger Fabric solution for counterfeit drugs in the pharmaceutical industry. This is another solution in which, again, we all know that counterfeit drugs are one of the most severe threats to the pharmaceutical industry. World Health Organization highlights that nearly about 1035% of the drugs, that is more than 1 of the 10 of the medicines produced in the least developing countries, are counterfeit, are fake, and have serious side effects on the human lives. And then with the upsurge in the online and internet-based pharmacies, we are not sure whether they have really the original drugs or they have the fake drugs. So this is one of the hot areas, again, in the healthcare sector, specifically in the pharmaceutical industry. In this research, again, I proposed a new and novel track and trace blockchain-enabled mad ledger system in which the patients can easily track and trace the medicine, that from where the medicine was originated, who were the manufacturer, who was the distributor, what were the ingredients involved. So this whole system and how it was finally distributed across, and it has reached to the patient. So this was a system. Our proposed traceability solution diminishes the need for trusted centralized authority. So there is no need to have a third-party centralized authority, intermediates, and provides transaction records, enhances efficiency and safety with high integrity, reliability, and security. Okay, chain codes. I have used the chain codes. We call them as smart contracts, were designed, coded, and implemented using sequence diagrams and the programming language. Okay, and interaction among the participating stakeholders in the drug supply chain ecosystem. Okay, so this is actually the diagram. Like we have different types of stakeholders, as you can see here. We have the patient, we have the pharmacies, we have the distributors, we have the manufacturers, and we have the suppliers. So these are all different types of suppliers in the system, which are being properly registered by using the health authority, or we call them as the drug regulatory authorities, which registered these all organizations onto the network, onto the system, and then every transaction that is coming from them will be actually stored on this shared Hyperledger network, on the distributed ledger network. And then inside this one, we have the same ordering services, committer nodes, and all this, which perform different transactions, validate the transactions, and store them on the ledger. Okay, and then this all can be accessed by these all participating stakeholders using the app. They can log in and they can access to that system. So this was a system that was developed, and then this is actually how the more detailed about this system was actually like its implementation. Like we have the endorsers, committers, and we have the smart contracts, and we have different functions. We have the mad ledger layer, and we have all these things and how they interact with each other. So these are some of the further details about this system. This is the working of the proposed system. We initially deploy the contract, then we register the ingredients, then we deploy the new contract, and then we return the address of the contract, and then we register the ingredients, and then like this, these are all different steps in more detail about the proposed system. okay, that how all these things are handled and done, and these are 28 steps that how the transactions were done, how the manufacturer, the distributor, they interacted with each other using smart contract, which business logic was involved, how the programming logic was involved, how smart contracts were designed, and finally how using the app we controlled the whole system. So these are some of the systems, and then this is a sequence diagram showing that how the interaction was done among the suppliers, among the endorsers, manufacturers, orderers, committers, onto the ledger. We can see all these transactions, how they are done. So this is how the system actually work. And then finally, this is how the two use cases I have shown. So finally, I will be just talking 2 minutes for the implementation challenges and opportunities for the blockchain. It's still a lot of people talk about blockchain technology, its implementation and all these things, but still there are a lot of limitations about it, like scalability limitations are there, data standardization and scope challenges are there, adoption and enticement for stakeholder challenges are there, whether the stakeholders are really adopting to it, they are really okay with this technology, costs of operating blockchain technology, then regulatory considerations, compliance issues. So there are a lot of challenges are there, and these challenges are actually the research challenges on which different researchers are still working on to develop new solutions, new blockchain solutions across the healthcare industry. So these are some of the references, and thank you. That's all from me. So we can have the questions from the audience now.
Thank you, Dr. Muin. Your talk was really, really, really heavy on the theories. Now, for a newborn in I would like for you to explain in a little bit of layman terms, what is the difference in the simplest way that you can explain to me, to all of us, what's the difference between cybersecurity and blockchain? I mean, both are used for security purposes, right? So how are they different really?
Cybersecurity and blockchain. Blockchain is actually blockchain is a technology, distributed ledger technology, which provides us different cybersecurity related solutions to overcome the cyber crimes. So blockchain is a technology which overcomes the problems of cyber crimes, cyber attacks. Like it provides encryption, it provides transparency, it provides track and trace system. So it provides us like auditability. So it's one of the technologies which can be used to overcome the problems of the cybersecurity. Like currently we have the firewalls, we have the IDS systems, we have the IPS systems, we have the firewall policies, configurations. These things are currently available in the market. Okay, but we also need to have the latest advanced solutions. So blockchain was realized as one of the solutions that can be used to secure our existing systems. Okay, the existing systems which are actually the centralized systems. Okay, so the blockchain provides us a more decentralized solution.
Okay, now I get it much clearer now. Okay, so let's go to a question that has been given in the chat. This is from someone named Seeker. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly, but the question is on the verification of all ledgers would be done by miners in the blockchain network, and it needs a lot of calculation, which consumes a lot of energy. So blockchain energy is wasted. Is this true?
Yes, this is true for earlier versions of the blockchain, especially the Bitcoin technology, in which we require all the miners on the Bitcoin network. Let's suppose we have on average we have about 21,000 miners on the Bitcoin network. So when a transaction is being executed, all these miners need to validate the transaction, so which requires a lot of energy, a lot of power, which is actually equals to the energy consumed by California city. So that's quite a huge. Okay, so in that case, this solution is not good enough. So the researchers were working on, they are still working on to reduce these things. So this is actually, we call them as consensus algorithms, because what we want is, we want the transactions to have the consensus by all the miners, by all the validating nodes. So in the Hyperledger fabric, what happens is that we choose some of the stakeholders, not all the miners. We say that for this particular transaction, we only require 10 validations. So out of the 15 miners or 15 stakeholders, we choose that in the policy, we specify that for this transaction to be executed, we require only 10 validations. So when a transaction achieves those validations, then it will be verified and it will be appended to the ledger. So this is what I'm trying to say, that a lot of research is being going on improving the efficiency of the blockchain systems. Like if we compare the Ethereum with the Hyperledger, the Ethereum is much slower, is an open network, as compared to the Hyperledger, which is a private network. So the private network, we have our own stakeholders, we know those stakeholders, so the transactions, the validations are a bit more faster. But again, the problem is that for the Hyperledger, again, we don't have the stable versions. Like, they are working on it, the Linux is working on, the IBM is working on, a lot of companies are working on to develop the programming languages, the solutions and everything. So it's still in a growing stage, this technology.
Oh, that's good. At least that is a future in positive sense.
And one thing I want to highlight, like
Yes.
in UK, I have a lot of friends who are working in UK in the industry and all this. They are saying that this is one of the top technologies which is which is under requirement, and then they need a lot of, like, programmers, especially to write down the codes, write down the smart contracts, which is one of the highest paying jobs. So if you are good enough, you are good in writing smart contracts, if you have a good business logic. So for the undergraduate student, for the master's student, if you are good enough in the Solidity language, in the Go language, in the Golang language, in the Java language, in Python, so you can be one of the potential candidates for blockchain, for writing the smart contracts.
So I do understand a little bit, which is that blockchain is not something simple. It's not a plug and play kind of technology. It requires changes in a lot of platforms, right? If a company were to want to implement blockchain, this would require a lot of changes in the overall structure.
Yes.
So
Yes.
is this a challenge? Is this a reason why it is a challenge to adopt this in
Yes.
healthcare? Overall, we have seen that it is quite well adopted in NFTs and cryptocurrencies, but a little bit of a challenge in healthcare. So in your opinion, why, and how can we overcome this?
Because in the healthcare or in the other industries, they are still, like, their data is stored using the centralized systems. They are still using the cloud systems. So a lot of research is being going on, a lot of work is being going on to integrate the blockchain with the cloud. Okay, to integrate the blockchains with the Oracle blockchains, we call them as, like if we want the real-time data to work on, so how we are going to get the real-time data from all the participating stakeholders. So new blockchains like Oracle blockchains and other new concepts are coming up, which actually enables us to do the verifications and validations of the transactions. So still the companies are reluctant, because still there is a huge shortage of programmers, the people who are expert in the industry, in the blockchain. So this will take a lot of time actually to realize and to develop this technology. That's why if we write down a research paper on blockchain technologies, even our findings are not 100% correct. So even you submit to a journal, like, the researchers, the reviewers, they are not good enough. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the skills to understand. So they can just see, oh, it's from blockchain, it's from healthcare, so it's a hot topic, so they just accept it. This is what's going on. A lot of repetitions are being done, like on EHRs and all these systems. You can find hundreds of thousands of research papers being published. But when you go into and read them, and you will see, so it's most of the time it's a repetition, it's the same thing.
So this is
If
for adoption in healthcare, is that
yes,
right?
yes,
Specifically
especially
for healthcare, right?
actually when I have discussion with my friends, so there is a huge difference between the industry and the academia. The academia is quite far behind as compared to the industry. The industry is developing the solutions, is coming up with more better solutions, but it will take some time for those solutions to be incorporated and into the organizations and into those. But academia is still quite far behind as compared to the industry.
There'll be a
in
wake-up call
these.
to all the universities, isn't it?
Yes, definitely wake up. Like I was teaching this blockchain technology as a course in my previous university in UBD. I was teaching this course. I was talking about Bitcoins, consensus algorithms, these hyperledgers, Ethereums, and all this. So there is a requirement that we need to teach this as a separate course, as a separate modules in our curricula. We need to include this one because this is one of the latest technologies where the world is going towards.
So earlier you did mention about, people with good programming skills and the fact that this industry is lacking in the workforce, right? So there is a question very related to what you mentioned is, and do you think the job of a programmer will still be in demand in the next 5 to 7 years with relevance to this blockchain
Definitely,
technology?
not only with the blockchain technology but also with the cybersecurity, because in the cybersecurity we need the skilled programmers who can write down, who can draft different different we call them as uh, the malware scripts. We call them the scripts to do the proper scanning of the networks, to identify the vulnerabilities on the network. So there is a huge demand for the programmers in cybersecurity area as a general, and blockchain very specific. So there is a huge demand. So we need people in everywhere, in US, in UK, everywhere in European countries. They require people, they require cybersecurity experts, they require forensic experts, they require these programmers who are good enough in writing those scripts, malwares, and all these exploiting scripts and vulnerability related scripts and all this from the for the network. So there is a huge demand for this all.
So do you think, in the current industry, in the industry where it is still trying to push away, reluctant to adopt this blockchain technology, do you think it's because of the lack in programming skills for the programmer, or is
Yes,
because the technology of blockchain is difficult to implement? Which would be
actually,
the more heavy
it's
factor?
it's it's not that the technology is difficult. It's the programming logic that you require, the business logic that you require. But the important thing is we need to see that in which particular industry we really require to use the blockchain, because nowadays the people are using blockchain everywhere. Even we don't need the blockchain, they are pushing the blockchain there. Okay, but definitely in the land record management systems in India, I have seen one of the biggest use cases of the blockchain technology was implemented in India in the land record management system. So it was implemented at the government level. So they have computerized all the lands and records using the blockchain technology. So still, like when you are going to computerize them, when you are going to implement them, the blockchain technology on the back end, you require the workforce, you require the programmers, you require those expertise. So those people who have good knowledge in the programming, they are good enough, their business logic is good, they can be actually good programmers in the blockchain also, to write down the smart contracts, to write down the chain codes, because on the blockchain, the important thing, the most important thing is the smart contracts between different stakeholders, which contains the functions, which contains the business programming, business logic. So if you are good enough, so you can write down those smart contracts in a better way. And
Okay.
the other problem is we usually
Mm.
write down the smart contracts. Once the smart contract is executed, is implemented, then it cannot be changed. This is another problem. So once it's implemented, it can, like the normal programs, when we execute we can change, but in the smart
Mm.
contract, once it's finalized, it's implemented, it cannot be changed, it cannot be reversed back. So you need to be 100% sure that you need to have very good managers, you need to have a proper quality check mechanism, you need to have a proper quality of service mechanism to check whether those smart contracts are properly written, their business logic is correct. Otherwise your system will be performing wrongly. You will have the fake
Higher
transactions, or
losses.
yes, yes, definitely. So these are some of the factors in which the people are still reluctant to go into the blockchain. And also, again, the other thing is, like, people are when we say blockchain, then they usually talk about Bitcoin. So when we say
Mm.
Bitcoin, the price is going up and down. These
Cryptocurrency.
coins, this cryptocurrency is going up and down. sometimes the coins are gone, like sometimes their new coins are coming. So the people are comparing them with the blockchain, even though the blockchain is totally different from the Bitcoin. Okay,
Mm.
in a sense, yes. So
Oh,
yes, in Bitcoin, actually there is no business logic, there is no smart contract, there is no programming logic, everything is built in. But in the blockchain, it's all programming language, it's all smart contracts.
perhaps maybe we can. Okay, let's have a look at the question by Andy Pat. How would NIZK be implemented in blockchain? And along with that, there is also another question related to blockchain
What is
implementation.
what is
Uh,
NIZ?
I am not entirely sure. Maybe we'll go on to the next question. While Andy Pat, could you please explain a little bit what do you mean by NIZK? Yeah, we'll get back to the question later. So there's another question about blockchain decentralization. Could you quickly explain to us uh, in the easiest way
Yes,
possible what is
yes.
blockchain decentralization exactly?
Yes, actually, blockchain decentralization is that we have a decentralized network. We have a peer-to-peer network. Normally, the networks that we currently have, like internet architecture or the internet networks that we have, or the networks in companies and organizations, they are centralized. They have the servers and then there are clients. But blockchain is opposite to that one. That one is a decentralized network. Means all your, like on a normal network, on a client server network, all your data, all your transactions, all your records are stored on a server, and then the clients are accessing it through the server. But in a decentralized, all your data, all your transactions are stored on a ledger, and ledger is shared among all the stakeholders. So everybody will have the latest copy of the ledger, all the participating stakeholders. So we call them as peer-to-peer network. It's not a centralized network. It's not a client-server network. It's a pure decentralized network in which all the participating stakeholders, they will have the copy of the ledger. So if anyone will play with the ledger, if anyone will execute any transaction on the ledger, everybody will need to know. Everybody must know. Everybody must validate that transaction. So once everybody must validate, everybody must know, and that makes the whole system auditable. That makes the whole system transparent. This
Yes,
is where
that
there was this is where there was a question that when everybody will evaluate the transaction, will verify the
mm,
transaction, it consumes a lot of power. So this is where the research is going on, that how to
mm,
make these transactions much more faster, how to make them.
mm.
This is where the consensus algorithms are going up. So now they are coming up with the latest algorithms, like depending on the time, and like they are using a lot of new consensus algorithms to overcome the problem of uh, this power consumption and everything.
But there really is not much way to get past this because you do need all the relevant parties to have a say, a say per se in the.
Actually, again, it
It takes
depends
time.
whether it's a public network or it's a private
Mm,
network. If it's a public network, then definitely it's Ethereum or something like this. Then everybody needs to say it's a Bitcoin. But if it's a private network, like we have the consortium networks, we have the Hyperledger Base 2, we have the Hyperledger Fabric, we have the other type of networks which are private. So in the private, you can control that these are my participants. They are only one. This is for these are. They will only validate the transaction. You will create the policies, you will create your laws, and you will create your programs. So that's a
mm.
bit more better, more faster.
Okay, all right. So let's go back to the previous question about how would NIZK be implemented in blockchain. So NIZK is non-interactive zero knowledge. So how to implement non-interactive zero knowledge in blockchain?
Non-interactive zero knowledge, actually, now currently the systems on the blockchain, we usually call them as zero knowledge systems. Zero knowledge systems means we don't have the knowledge of the previous transactions. Okay, so when we want to implement them on the blockchain network, there is no need to have the knowledge of the previous transactions or anything like this. But you can use, because those previous transactions are actually stored on the same ledger. So if you want to know about those previous transactions, they are already available on the ledger. So you can go back to the ledger and check those previous blocks, because the blocks are interconnected together. We call it as blockchain. So there is a chain of blocks. So the block contains the previous knowledge, previous knowledge, previous. So if you want to find out something, what happened 15 days ago, what happened 20 days ago, you can easily find out those. So in this way, even without those zero knowledge systems, you can implement those systems, infective systems. But uh, the good thing is that with the blockchain, you can easily track and trace your previous records.
Right. Okay. Talking about tracking blocks in a blockchain, right? So how would it be? How would it affect your blockchain? Like, okay, the question is, if the whole blockchain network is down, is the network recoverable?
Actually, I don't know how the block if how the whole network will be down, because you have the participating stakeholders which are available not at one place. They are available in different. Like I give you the example of drug med ledger system, pharmaceutical system. We have the suppliers, we have the ingredient suppliers, we have the manufacturers, we have the distributors. So these companies are available at different locations. It's not that they are available at one location. So at different locations, they have the copy of the ledger. So there is no question that the whole network will be down. The whole network will be down in a sense that when there is no internet connectivity, we are done with the internet. There is no internet in the world anymore.
What an impossible situation that is. But
Because
okay, so
I
which
was,
means it
I,
won't
I
happen.
was, I was, I was attending one of the conference on blockchain technologies a few months ago, and there was a founder of the Bitcoin network. He was there. There was a question from one of the parties. Not there was one of the questions from the presenter that Bitcoin network even can go down, but that. The owner said, like, this is not a simple network. This is a network which we created with billions of dollars of investment. So how you can say that the whole Bitcoin network can go down? So this is
As
a
a
signal.
user, you
So
always want to know what is the guarantee for you, right? Perhaps this is
actually,
the
the guarantee for the Bitcoin is that it's transparent. It's transparent
mm,
means all the records are not stored at one point. Like in the centralized systems, we have the one point failure. Like if the server is down, the whole network is down. Okay, but in Bitcoin, there is no one server. It's a peer-to-peer network. So all of the devices, all the peers, they are sharing the same information. So even one peer is down, others have the information. If another is down, other have the information. If other is down, other have the information. So they all can again share the same copy of the ledger.
okay, let's have a look at the thank you, Dr. Muin. Looks like there's not no more questions, but I have one last question for you before we close for the day. So, um, what is the blockchain industry doing this year that may, encourage and boost adoption in healthcare? Any
Okay,
works in the progress to make sure that there is a positive look towards blockchain in healthcare?
Actually, what I can see is that, like, especially in the COVID areas, in the COVID times, there were a lot of applications of blockchain, especially these digital passports, the COVID passports that we have are related to vaccines. They were also being transferred on the blockchain networks. Okay, and then we have the equipment, we have the even the equipment that was used in the COVID times by the doctors. So that was also handled by the blockchain network. So in this way, there in the past couple of years, in the past 2 years or 1 year, majority of the research was going on in the healthcare industry on COVID-19 related issues. Okay, but still a lot of companies in US, in Europe, like they are developing applications, blockchain applications. We call them as dApps. Normally we call the applications as apps, but in the Bitcoin, in the blockchain, we call them as dApps. We call them as distributed application. This is the difference between the distributed and the normal app. Normal app is a centralized app. This one is a decentralized apps. So all the participating stakeholders who have the app, they will be sharing the app. They will all have the copy of the distributed ledger. So these companies are now developing the practical apps of the blockchain using EHR systems for medical equipments. Like if you research on internet about the latest work which is going on, they are actually working on the real application development. So they are working on real dApps being developed in the healthcare sector specifically, because the academia, they are not developing the apps. The academia is actually proposing different solutions, in a sense that they are proposing different research-based solutions, encryption-based solutions, and all those things. But the industry, very specifically, they are working on the real-time DApps, distributed apps for the healthcare. Where the
Would you say that there is a gap, a disengagement between the academia's focus and what is actually needed by the
yes,
industry?
yes, yes, definitely. Because in the
And that
academia
shouldn't
also,
be. We should,
actually,
as academicians,
if you
we
can,
should be
if you
supporting
can,
what the industry needs.
if you can see on the blockchain, there are two main things in the blockchain, two main portions in the blockchain technology. Now, one is the supply chain applications, like we are working on the developing the apps. The other portion is on the efficiency of the blockchain, how to improve the efficiency of the blockchain system. So the actual research now the industry is doing is to improve the efficiency of the blockchain system, how to have more transactions. Like if you want to replace the current credit card system with the blockchain in the fintech industry. So you have to see that how many transactions Bitcoin can, the blockchain can support per second, and how much transactions the credit card can supporting now. So if the credit card is supporting 25,000 transactions per second on a centralized network, Bitcoin must support more than that in the efficiency terms. Then you can replace the old existing, the centralized system of the credit card with the Bitcoin, with the blockchains. This is where the other part of the blockchain is, where the industry is working, where they are where they are actually using the more better cryptographic solutions to make the efficiency of the blockchain more faster. This
Okay.
is where the gap is. Where this is where the gap is.
I think it's
So if
important for the academia to actually
yes,
acknowledge this and do
yes,
something that the industry wants. Is sometimes we as academias, we are blind to what the industry wants and we do what we are good at. So this is a
because
good takeaway point
yes,
for
yes,
academias
yes,
like myself and
yes,
yourself. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Um, no, I was about to end, but I see there's a. Let's have one last question. Okay.
Okay.
Blockchain security. What about blockchain
Yes,
security? I know it's
yes.
a
So
little bit.
this is
It is very
yes, this,
secure, but maybe you can explain a little bit why it's
yes.
so secure.
There are some cases where blockchain security has been talked about. Like there is a 51% attack, and like there is another type of attack. We call it as double spending attacks. So there are some issues in the blockchain security also. Okay, a lot of research like is going on to overcome those type of attacks and those things also in the blockchain security. So this is another area in the blockchain. Actually, the issue is again with the smart contracts. When you deploy the smart contracts, when you create the smart contracts on the Bitcoin network, on the blockchain network, then you need to make sure that those smart contracts are written properly. They are properly secured. The functions are properly done. Like we need to make sure that the quality of the quality check is there on the smart contracts. Plus also the network, the resources that we are using, even the people, their authentication, their authorization systems should be there. Who will be joining the network, like who you will be giving the authority to join your network in a private network or whatever. So there are challenges, there are issues where the research is going on. But it's a new technology, like like specifically blockchain started somewhere in 2018, 19, something like this. Previous to this, there was only Bitcoin, but its practical implementation started about 3 years ago. So there will be security issues and those challenges that needs to be focused on.
Any new technology will always face the same
Yes, definitely. And
problems. These
it's
are
adoption.
teething problems, right? Teething
Yes.
problems, which I believe over the next few years, with knowledge, with experience, it can be overcome. Yeah, okay, my goodness, Dr. Muin, you have shared so much with us today. We unfortunately have come to the end of our session. And as you can see, there are so many people who are quite interested in your topic. And if anyone would like to ask any more questions, I'm so sorry I cannot attend to your questions anymore. But if you would like for Dr. Muin
Yes.
to share his knowledge, please leave a comment and he will get back to you when he can. Yeah.
Okay.
So for today,
You can also email me. You can share my email with the students. They can email me if they are interested in doing some research on blockchain technologies and all this. So I can be really happy to.
my goodness, Dr. Muin, you're quite the star today, isn't it? We have another question. We'll give one last question. Okay. Will there come a time when blockchain takes over the financial? I don't think so, but never mind. Let's have a go. Will it come a time when blockchain takes over the financial industry?
It will take some time because it's not easy to replace the existing systems like credit card systems, the third-party systems, which are already like Mastercards and all these Visa cards, and the payment systems. So it will take time actually to overcome. But even if you search on internet, you will see that still there are thousands of DApps already developed, thousands of DApps in financial sector already developed by different companies which provide you these services like stock exchange services, financial services. All these things are still there. But as a overall technology to replace something, this will take a lot of time, maybe 5 years, 10 years, something like this. Like cloud came about 15 years ago, but still like cloud adoption, we are not sure how many percent companies, about 50-60% companies are still reluctant to go to the cloud. So this is the same is the case with the blockchain, but blockchain is more towards security, more towards securing the system. So hopefully, as the number of cyber incidents are increasing, ransomware attacks are increasing, so definitely the companies have to move towards more better solutions.
It's
So
always
blockchain
the
is one
case,
of them.
when you have a new
Yes,
technology,
blockchain is one.
everyone's
Yes,
reluctant, no one wants to do it. But there comes a time when it is absolutely unavoidable,
yes,
necessary, and that's when all of you blockchain people become superstars, isn't it? So, when the time comes, I hope that all of you programmers have the skills to answer to the call of the industry, to protect the industry from cybercrimes, right?
yes,
Okay, Dr.
definitely.
Muin, thank you so much for your time. You have shared so much with us. I am very appreciative that you have spent an hour and a half of your time with us.
Yes,
Um, I do hope you can find the time to answer. My goodness, there are more questions. So sorry, Wizard. I cannot attend to your question online anymore, but please give it a few minutes and Dr. Muin will get back to you. I will conclude today's session on the GCMT keynote session. Thank you, Dr. Muin, for
thank
spending
you,
your time.
Dr. V.
Your
Thank you.
experience is invaluable for us here. As you can see, many of the viewers today share your passion for blockchain. I hope this continues. Thank you, Dr. Muin. Thank you to
Thank
all
you.
of you who are watching in. Um, I do hope that
Thank
your
you, everyone.
passion
Thank you,
in
organizers.
this.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you so
inviting
much
for
for
this
tuning
session.
in.
Thank you.
Oh, well, we have unfortunately come to the end of our GCMT opening. I see that most of you have enjoyed it. May I be arrogant enough to say all of you have enjoyed it. So, I do hope that you will enjoy the rest of the virtual conference that we have prepared for you. And I hope to welcome you next year physically. Have a good day. Have a great rest of the day. Good evening.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Thank you.